This podcast is not sponsored or supported by any business or organization. The views reflected on these podcast episodes are my own. Be aware I am not a medical doctor, travel agent, or any other kind of expert. But I hope you still enjoy. Hey friends, welcome to the Gluten Free Advocate, a Substack and podcast that helps me process my health journey and my determination to pretend that those health conditions don't exist at all. If you're looking for tips, tricks, and learnings for traveling the world with celiac disease and type 1.5 diabetes, you have come to the right place. Now, let's get started. Hey everyone. Guys, listen up. This episode is super special, and I'm really excited for you to listen to it. I did not know Alyssa at all. It was really interesting getting to know her. I was following her loosely on Instagram. She, was trying to do a celiac group travel thing, and that's kind of what initiated me following her in the first place. And as I was going through and thinking of people that I would love to chat with, I came across her profile and just did a blind reach out just to see what would happen. And to my pleasant surprise, she said yes. And I couldn't believe that how much our lives were parallel. We are in almost the same timeline. She's about a year or two ahead of me as far as my celiac disease timeline, but her and I have been basically almost living similar lives as far as that part of our journeys go. And it was so incredible to hear how she's doing everything that I've been dreaming of doing and started to do with this podcast and couldn't make happen, but she's succeeding with all of it. And just getting to meet someone that you could absolutely cheer on was so incredibly exciting. And I really loved getting to chat with her, and every new thing that I met about her, or that I learned about her rather, just made me more and more excited. And I'm so thankful for these conversations that I get to have because of this podcast, because me, a nobody who no one pays attention to, just really loved having a radio show in high school and some of my college years, and wanted to get back to it and wanted to share in my travel journeys with other people with celiac, hoping that it helped them. And all the amazing stories I've gotten to hear, the amazing conversations I've gotten to have, and the amazing friendships that I've been able to make has been out of this world. So without further ado, here's to the folks that dream on this episode of the Gluten Free Advocate. Hi, Alyssa. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to be chatting with you today.
Hello, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to talk about, this podcast is all about having celiac disease and traveling. So I love to find somebody else that is as addicted to all things travel as I am. So I'm very excited for our conversation today, but wanted to start off by talking about your celiac diagnosis story, if you feel comfortable sharing that. How did this
Yeah,
come into your life?
absolutely. It's been a really long time now. I was actually diagnosed back in 2008,
Okay.
when I was around 18 years old. And I lived in Connecticut at the time. And at the time, there was not really many doctors in Connecticut who were diagnosing celiac disease. So I would say I started getting sick 2 years prior to that,
Okay.
when I was around 16. And obviously, looking back now, knowing that you can be born with the celiac gene and have it be either active or dormant, and several different things can trigger it to become active when it's dormant, or it can just be triggered for no reason at all. When I was 16, I did go through a lot of really traumatic events, and that's when I started feeling sick. So I think that made my diagnosis complicated, because these doctors are seeing this teenage girl who already had anxiety issues go through something really life changing and develop these symptoms. And so I was hit very frequently with the, oh, it's in your head. Oh, it's anxiety. Oh, it's depression. Oh, it's stress. Oh, you're a 16-year-old girl. Like, pretty much it's in your head. To the point where I started believing that about myself.
Mm.
And so I just dealt with the symptoms, and I obviously was going through something really hard at the time, and obviously was dealing with anxiety as a result. So being so young and I had never heard of celiac disease at this point. So I didn't have the wherewithal or the awareness for it to even cross my mind. Then when the year I was diagnosed, I was in the emergency room more than 20 times
Wow.
with like debilitating symptoms. I literally couldn't function. I had always been really thin, but I was severely underweight.
Mm.
Like the definite, if you looked up skin and bones in the dictionary, that's what I was. And I was
Yeah.
eating nonstop, but obviously unwell. And they just kept equating it to, oh, you're stressed out, you're anxious, you have mental health issues, nothing's wrong with you.
Right.
I finally got so fed up with it. My mom helped me find a specialist in Boston, Beth Israel Medical Center. And at the time, they actually already had an entire celiac department there. And I saw a gastroenterologist. And in one appointment, they were like, you need to basically get scoped because we think you have celiac disease. And so I did my endoscopy and it was confirmed on the spot. My villi was extremely damaged. I had um like there was no question about it that it came back positive. And so then I was like, so it wasn't in my head.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
And I have a very similar experience to you. I mean, some things are in a different order of events, but
Yeah.
same things happened. I remember the doctors trying to insist that I was anorexic, and I was like, I'm eating so much.
Right.
I'm licking my plate clean.
Yeah.
Um, and now they're telling me that I need to start losing weight. I was like, this is ironic. But anyway, that's
I've
for
had the same yo-yo and now I'm in that position too. It's so interesting how we go through
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I know that I feel like I've become more stubborn and more outspoken because of how
Mhm.
much of what doctors have insisted to be their version of the truth and what my reality was. And
Yeah.
how has that impacted you and how you go about your day to day life? Because I feel like that has such long term lasting effects in
No,
ways that
it's
we haven't even
true.
begun to discuss yet.
It's true. It's true. It carries over into so many different areas of life too, I feel like. And because I saw so clearly, like black and white, the results of my endoscopy, um, and I was also eating gluten for 2 years, when maybe even longer when I shouldn't. My symptoms just started for those 2 years. So who knows how long
Mhm.
actually,
Right,
you can obviously eat gluten and not have symptoms and the damage is still being done. So my
right,
damage was pretty extensive. And even though I went 100% gluten free immediately, now obviously it's many, many, many years later, I have also been diagnosed with lymphocytic colitis,
mm,
with Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism
right,
and different autoimmune disease, which is a direct result of the untreated or misdiagnosed or underdiagnosed celiac disease. And so I think now that I went through that and like fighting for it for so long to get somebody to listen to me, I'm much faster to get a second opinion or
mhm,
come prepared with more questions and sort of brace myself going into a doctor's appointment of, okay, looking at my specifically like my mental health history, because my anxiety is obviously on my records, knowing that unfortunately oftentimes doctors will be like, use that as a way out
right,
or a write off, coming prepared with, I recognize this is in my history and this is the specific reasons why I know it's not that, because
right,
now I have been through life. I'm 35 years old now. I'm not 18 anymore. I know my body super well and I know the difference between anxiety and an actual separate physical health problem. And basically you need to test me for this. Like, I'm not leaving
right.
until you write me these tests.
Yeah, it's man, I'm gonna apologize on behalf of, whoever, because I wish that someone would say that to me. So I'm gonna say it to
Yeah.
you and say I'm
Thank
sorry
you.
for all that you had to go through. Because I went through similar things of I'm about 2 years behind you.
Okay.
So as far as diagnosis goes, I was diagnosed in 2010.
Mhm.
So I think there's a similarity of what options were out there, and even how I approach my celiac disease is very different than the influx of people that have been diagnosed since then, since the time that you and I were diagnosed. It's
Mhm.
like there's certain things that I'm a little bit more forgiving on and willing to try because of, you know what, this is what I had to do in the beginning because of what options were. I'm a little bit more flex, and it sounds like by your nodding your head you are too. And it's
Yeah.
I always and when I was eating gluten free, I realized how much when I started eating gluten free, it was kind of like Pandora's box for me, where
Mhm.
all these other issues started coming to light. Where I was
Yeah.
asymptomatic prior to my diagnosis, I was diagnosed on accident. So
Wow.
I
Oh,
was feeling,
wow.
that's what I was talking about. Like I had the same experience as you, but
Yeah.
different order. And where they were like, well, you're eating gluten free. So it's all in your head. And, you also have depression and anxiety, and they're medicating you for that. So I don't understand what the issue is.
Yeah.
And I would have this, and I wonder if you relate, this euphoric feeling of I feel so powerful when I end up being right.
Yeah, and it's like
Yeah.
that intuition, like, you know your body, and you're like, "I
Yeah.
told you so." Not that I want this to be wrong with me, but, like, imagine how much time and money we could have saved if you just entertained the idea that I brought to you about my own body.
Yeah. Yeah. And therapy bills and
Yeah,
talking about time and
hello, a
money.
lot of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's crazy. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, your story is not unique. Like it is unique in the other conditions that you have, but it's not
Yeah,
unique in that so many people feel unheard. And I don't know, somebody's got to do something about it. And I don't know what that solution is, but we'll find it
I know.
somehow.
Even after all this time, people are still feeling unheard, and it's like the awareness of it is growing, okay,
Mhm.
but it's not anywhere close to where it needs to be.
Yeah. So I wonder because when I was going through all of this,
Mhm.
I used everything I could to escape. I watched movies and I read books, and that fostered this love of travel for me that I wanted to be anywhere but here, where I was
Mhm.
being told that there was something wrong with me. And they were right to a degree. There were plenty of things wrong with me, but
Yeah.
I didn't want to be in that world for the moment.
Sure.
And I know that you love to travel. Do
Mhm.
you think this scenario of your life circumstances fostered that curiosity? Where did that come from for you? I'm kind of leading the witness. I apologize.
No, no, no. It's okay. It's an interesting question because I actually only started traveling 3 years ago.
Oh,
Prior
fun.
to that, I had never really been anywhere. And I think, sort of like tied to my celiac diagnosis and the trauma I went through, it sort of led to an unfortunate series of events for like the next 10 years with my further health diagnosis, a couple more traumas happening, and I was really just in survival mode.
Hmm.
And also, I was living alone in this whole time. So I'm like, I also have all of these bills to pay completely on my own. Like, I didn't
Right.
have financial help anywhere.
Yeah.
And that I had moved out right when I was 18. So that was just like surviving. And then I was finally in my 30s, and I'm like, okay, I've collected myself. My mental health is under control. My physical health is now under control. Like everything seems to be stabilized. And I work with a business mentor because I was working full time at the time, but dabbling with like freelancing
Hmm.
marketing because that's what my degree was in. And so I had a business mentor who lives in the UK, and I still work with her to this day, but she had a business retreat in Vico Pisano, Tuscany, Italy 3 years ago for her
Mm.
clients. And so I went on it and I was like, this is so cool. I get to meet all of these girls from all over the world on this business retreat. Literally, the first day on the trip, I was like, what? Like, this is what the rest of the world is like? It's insane. And like all of it, but also I was so scared and never thought it was possible for me to travel with celiac disease because in Connecticut, yeah, there's a lot of gluten free, quote unquote,
Mhm.
options, but they're not celiac safe. Let's be real.
Right.
And I'm super sensitive to cross contamination in my
Mm.
reactions and things like that. And so I just was like, well, it's just never possible for me. My first day in Italy, they had prepped everybody that I was celiac. It was like on my questionnaire before I arrived on this business trip. And everywhere I go, oh, here's some prepackaged gluten free bread. Oh, here, this was made in a separate part of the kitchen for you. Oh, here, do you want pasta? Do you want pizza? Do you want
Mhm.
fried dough? Like everything that I normally can't have. Nobody was like, oh, you have to have a salad today.
Yeah.
Or like my meal was the same as everybody else's on the trip, just gluten free. When they were eating pasta, I was eating pasta. Like everything was the same. And that was really the first time since my diagnosis that I had experienced that. And that was like a long time. Like that was only 3 years ago. So I had been gluten free for more than 10 years at that point.
Mm.
And I was like, is this just because this is a business trip? And so
Right.
then that sort of like sparked my curiosity. And I went home from that initial trip and I was like, I know there's like some Italian in my family history. So I started talking to my parents about it. And they're like, well, actually, your father's parents, both of them were born in this village in Abruzzo, Italy. And so I started
Mm.
doing heritage research and realized that I qualified for dual citizenship at the time. And so I went down that rabbit hole and I was like, I know this sounds insane, but will you take my cat to my parents? Like, will you just babysit her for like a year if I get rid of my apartment and just like, I want to travel? Like, it put the travel bug in me to know
Mm.
how safely I could eat gluten free in Italy. And I was like, if Italy is like this, maybe other countries are like this. And I just went down the rabbit hole and it turned into almost 2 years of full time travel.
That's wow. What an incredible
Like,
journey. And
because I'm insane. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And my parents were like, fine, we'll watch your cat.
I have to ask because I went on a very
Mhm.
similar journey. I also was
Okay.
in the process of getting my dual citizenship, and I had an
Mhm.
apartment in Verona. And unfortunately, it only lasted 9 months for me. And the laws changed
Yeah.
as I was getting up the line. Did that happen to you too, or were you able to sneak on through and get your citizenship?
No, I don't have citizenship now. I actually, but I hadn't started the official application process yet. I was just collecting documents. So I was still doing the
Okay.
90 days in, 90 days out. And in my 90 days
Yeah.
out, I would go to the UK, to Thailand, like other
Yeah.
places to travel. But then shortly before the laws changed, Italy released the digital nomad visa. And at this point in time, I was doing
Okay.
well enough in my freelance marketing work that I was able to leave my regular job. And that's how I was able to start traveling. And because I had already been doing that for almost a year, by the time the visa came out, I hit all of the qualifications for it. And so that's how I'm here now in Italy.
Oh, you're still
Yeah.
there now.
Yeah, no, this is a
Where?
permanent move. This is a permanent move for me. I've been here. April was my 1 year mark, so a little bit more than 1 year. And then I can get citizenship this route after living here for 10 years. I can apply like by default for citizenship as a resident.
Oh man, I'm so jealous. My lawyer did such dirty things to me, and I'm so
Oh, I'm
jealous.
so sorry.
Did me dirty, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna
It's
try it
for
again the route that
pension.
you're. Yeah, it is. I'm gonna try and do it in the route that you're going at, but just need to. There's a couple things that have to happen first. But
Yeah.
okay, we're that is a whole other podcast.
We'll
But
be
I'm
in
so
touch
happy.
about that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
where? Do you mind if I ask where in Italy you are?
Yeah, I'm in Lucca in Tuscany.
So nice. I
Mhm.
was in Verona and I'm going back actually next Thursday. I'm going back and showing my
Nice.
partner where I lived and all that stuff. And I'm emotional just even talking to you about it now. Oh
I
gosh, that
know.
thank you for healing me the way that you just did. Um,
There are other
so
possibilities. You will get here.
yes, you're making me get all in my feels and I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. So I I'm curious because I did what you did was the referred to as the Shetingen shuffle,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
exactly that.
I love that. I did that for a
Mhm.
long time. You went, it sounds like you went to cooler places than I got to go to because I went to like Bulgaria and that was not a
Okay.
great experience, especially gluten free wise. And I went to Turkey for a little bit and that was a little bit better. And I went to Romania, which was the best, and UK and Ireland. But I'm
Mhm.
curious, how were you picking countries? Because what's out of the Shenzhen zone is really
Yeah.
difficult, especially for good gluten free stuff. So, what was
Yeah.
your process in having to figure that out for yourself?
It was a little bit of a mix because it was in the last few years, like travel content has gotten really big. And so I follow a
Mhm.
lot of gluten-free like travel creators on Instagram, TikTok. And so I got some ideas from there. And some of it was like bucket list places that I wanted to go. Like London is insane for gluten-free. And so I obviously
Mhm.
had to go there. But London is also outrageously expensive.
Mhm.
And so because my life is involuntarily self-funded, I just stayed there for a week. And while I was there, I like was looking at other different places that were more budget friendly. Thailand, very budget friendly. Not a super ton of content creators posting gluten-free finds in Thailand. So
Right.
I did like vague research, and some places I go for the food and some places I go for the actual like vibe of the place or experience of the place. And so for Thailand, I was like, well, I'll get an apartment there. It's dirt cheap because unfortunately the locals don't make much money, so it's all relative to that. But I'm like, worst case, I'll grocery shop and I'll cook myself like chicken and rice and eggs for every meal, and I really don't care because I'll be by the beach and I get to see all these cool temples and experience this incredible culture, and I've never been to that part of the world before. So I know for some people, if there's no like really good gluten-free options, they'll skip it. But I'm more of like a mixed kind of person. Like I definitely go places for the food, but also it's been so long, I've sort of taken the emotion out of food in a lot of ways,
Mm.
where I'm just like, I really want to see this place. Like if I have not ideal gluten-free food for a month and it's boring, like I'll survive and I'll go somewhere fun for gluten-free food next. And Thailand actually surprised me so much. It was
Mm.
shockingly easy to eat there, like very easy.
Man, you've opened a whole new avenue of like questions for me to ask you and pick your
Yeah,
brain. And some of it is personal of like what I went through and just
really.
comparing experiences. So I'm taking a moment to pause because I don't want to ask the too personal of questions,
No, it's
um,
totally
especially
fine.
on the especially on the record like this. But how,
Yeah.
when you're traveling the way that you are and you're
Mhm.
doing it solo, what
Yeah.
is your favorite part of traveling on your own?
I think meeting people along the way, because one of the things that I think changed a lot with my celiac diagnosis for the better is I was really like negatively introverted before. Like I was an extremely shy person. I was very, I don't know, very quiet, but out of fear. Like I was scared to like talk to the cashier at the grocery store. I was silent at every job I've ever had. And getting diagnosed and having to advocate for myself, for example, just at a restaurant and having to like speak up and knowing that, not to be dramatic and say it's life or death, but like over the long term it sort of is, and like knowing that that would severely impact my health, so I didn't have a choice, it forced me to sort of find my voice more. And so then when I started traveling, I was like a little bit better, but still pretty introverted. And to not speak to people for like days or weeks on end, it's like obviously sucks. So
Yeah.
I would just go out, and like also when people see you traveling by yourself, they're curious and they'll strike up conversation for you. So it's like I
Yeah.
also am a recovering people pleaser. So if somebody is
Mhm.
speaking to me, I'm not going to be rude to them and ignore them. So then I would slowly start to chat with people. And then now, 3 years later, I'll yap to anybody, and like people are like, okay, we get it. Like, you can stop talking now. But
Yeah.
that's been my favorite part, is like I literally have friends all over the world now. So if I'm in London, I'm like, yeah, hey, I'm back. You want to hang out? I'm in Thailand. Hey, I'm back. You want to hang out? I have friends who are like, hey, I'm passing through Italy. Are you free? Like, do you want to go to get lunch? And so that's the coolest thing for me, is just having this international, worldwide social network.
Have you exceeded your own expectations of what you felt you could do for yourself? That's a very convoluted way of asking of, there were things that I thought like that would happen in solo traveling, especially when you're doing the Shenzhen shuffle. Like that is tough. It's
Mm-hmm.
not for the faint of heart. And I have
No, it's
always
not.
thought that I was a pretty tough person. But traveling in that way really challenged my spirit and my emotional well-being in a way. And I really was like, dang, I'm awesome by the end of
Yeah.
it all. Like I
Well, I
still
love
am
this
really
for
impressed
you.
by myself.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Has that been happening for you as each year goes on? Like, are you proud of yourself? That's a weird question to ask, but I feel like only you and I can really, we get it of what I'm
Yeah.
asking.
No, I love this question because you should be proud of yourself, because it's true. Unless you have lived it, it's so hard. You can try to describe it to somebody, but like when you're in the middle of travel and you're in a brand new place and you're completely alone and maybe you don't speak the language, and say like a flight gets canceled or you show up to an accommodation and it's kind of sketchy and you're like, you just have to figure it out. It's just you. And
Yeah.
it does build this level of confidence that I feel like I'm just starting to realize it happened to me. I feel like in the moment, you're so close to it that you don't really realize it's happening. But looking back, I'm like, if I saw somebody today who the last time I saw them was 3 years ago, they would not like, I would be a completely different person to them. They would be literally like, "Who are you?" In the best
Yeah.
way.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's funny watching my own parents not recognize their own child after I've gone through
Yeah.
that experience, and I smile more. I just am a lot
This is
happier
so
of a
cool.
person. Yeah. Do you do you have those people in your life where you're able to kind of use as a benchmark of when you go and talk to your parents about it? Are they like, who is this girl that used to be so shy? And what is that growth like for between you and the
Yeah,
people in your life before this journey?
it's interesting. And I don't mean this in a negative way because I know when I say it, it might sound negative towards my parents, and it's not that at all. They dealt with me going through like more than any parent should have to watch their child go through growing up. And they came to visit me for the first time last September in Italy, and showing them like my life here, my apartment here, the neighborhood I live in, like walking down the street and like going to the grocery store with them and having locals be like, "Oh, ciao, Alyssa, like how are you?"
Mm,
And it felt like they saw me as a person for the very first time. And again, I don't mean
yeah.
that in a bad way, but like
Nope.
to
Same thing
see that
happened
like
here.
recognition,
Yeah.
yeah, to see that recognition in their eyes of like, wow, like they looked like so proud and like, we can't believe you did this. Not that they would tell you they knew I could always do everything, but like, when you go through so much and like a life-changing diagnosis like that and everything that transpired after, it's like, wow, you actually came out the other side. And that was like a very cool thing to see them witness, and that instilled it in me seeing it from like them too.
Yeah, I wonder. I was only there for 9 months, and even with that 9 months, I was doing the Shenzhen Shuffle, and
Yeah.
I'd gotten enough Italian. I took French all throughout school, so I could kind of
Okay.
read Italian and fake my way through it that way.
Hmm.
But in speaking, I could get by at a restaurant. There was one waitress in particular at my restaurant that I would go to all the time that she refused to speak English with me. She would only speak in Italian. And I
For better, for
remember
worse.
yeah, and I remember my father watched me ordering in Italian and he was like, "What?" And he just is in his mind I was fluent. And so
Hmm.
he was like, "Tell them this." And I was like, "Well, they understand you. I don't need to translate. And I
Right,
can't.
right.
I don't know what you're saying. I only know how to say what I need in Italian."
Right,
um,
right.
and it's funny now. I've been away from it for a period of time now, which is devastating to think about. But I'm going back, like we said earlier, I told you earlier,
Yeah,
I'm going back next week to the places where I all went. And I was explaining to my partner that he's coming with me. And I was like, hey, this is how it's going to go. And
yeah.
I was saying some Italian, like going in and out of it of what I remembered, and watching his face be so impressed. I was like, man, I mean, I forgot how cool that is
Yeah,
because to
no,
us, it's
it's
just
so
life.
cool. Right. It's true. You're so close to it, but it is something to be so proud of. And even the fact that you were there for like 9 months, that's not a small thing. Most people are not willing to be out of their comfort zone for 9 months. So, like, that's a big
Yeah.
deal.
And if I hadn't lost my job, I would still be there, you know?
Yeah.
um,
Boy,
and I'm doing everything I can to get back there as soon as
you
possible.
will.
So it's,
You
yeah,
will.
it's incredible. Well, now that I know that you're there, it makes me feel really motivated. So thank you for the
Yeah.
gift that you've given me today. And speaking of
Of
that,
course.
how do you share in your experience with others? Because it's unique of what you're doing, of you're living abroad and you're on a
Mhm.
visa and you're
Yeah.
kind of an immigrant in a time when
Yeah.
that's very controversial right now in America.
Mhm.
Sorry, my phone went off
It's
unnecessarily.
okay.
So what is, and then on top of it, you also have celiac. So what has
Yeah.
that experience been for you and sharing it on social media? How do you navigate all that?
Yeah, honestly, being celiac in Italy is so easy. Like, not to like take away from the struggles of anybody else experiencing it, but people here are just, I don't have to explain myself to anybody. And that was one of the hardest things for me in the States, was social engagements where it's like a potluck situation or everybody's going to a group dinner, and people would sometimes like judge it or make fun of it, or being like, oh, one bite won't hurt, those, all those things that we talk about in the community. It's real and it happens constantly here. Like my Italian friends or even my other immigrant friends here, everybody takes it so serious, and they're like, "Oh, we called the restaurant, we picked a place that's safe for you," or we'll have a potluck dinner and they'll be like, "This is okay for you, this is not." And they'll even go out of their way to be like, "I used new dishes, I used a disposable pan, I cleaned everything." Like it is just so, I never in a million years imagined I would find a place to live that's like that. And that's one of the, obviously I had the heritage, but beside that, that's one of the big reasons I wanted to move here, because it's just, it's not a fad here. Like nobody is gluten free just for fun here. They have the Italian Celiac Association, as I'm sure you know, that certifies restaurants, and it's just, I don't know, it, taking that mental load off makes it so much easier. And so I love sharing that side of Italy and how like diverse also the gluten-free options here are, because I know that if I let celiac hold me back from traveling and putting myself out there for 30 years of my life, like I know I can't be the only one, and that other people are scared to travel, because especially to Italy, you think the land of pizza, pasta, bread, but in fact it's one of the easiest and safest places to be with celiac.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I could talk to you for forever, and I feel like what I originally had intended to ask you, this became a therapy session instead, and for that I
I love it.
apologize, but also appreciate it.
I'll take the free therapy.
Yeah. And I please know that I am very much keeping in touch with you after this
Yeah, yeah,
podcast recording, because we're living the
definitely.
same life and I really
Mhm.
love it. And you're living a portion of it that, like, you're continuing on the journey that I only got to start. And I'm loving watching you go through that. Um, I just
Your
have,
turn is next, don't worry.
yeah, yes, it all comes back around somehow. Uh,
Mhm.
do you do, I know that you used to do gluten free trips with other
Mhm.
folks. Am I misunderstanding that? Do you want to talk about it? We can cut this out.
No, we can talk about it. It's something that I want to resume. So I had created this brand, Celiac Group Trips, because like how I started my traveling, going on this group trip with my business coach. And then obviously I've seen things like the Celiac Cruise. And I've seen maybe like one or two other people leading fully gluten-free group trips. But the number one thing that I loved about solo traveling was the connections that I made, and the that global network of community that I made. And I also already was lucky with amazing celiac friends back in Connecticut, Boston, New York. We have gluten free expos that happen there every year from
Mhm.
Wicked Gluten
Yep.
Free. She puts on a great expo. And so, because of that, over the years, I've built a really strong celiac community. So, I was like, imagine if I could combine these two things, like this international, worldwide community, but also like imagine being able to go out on this group trip and you order a couple of things for the table. When can you order things for the table and share them amongst everybody? Never with celiac disease. It's everybody else doing that and you having your one singular dish instead of getting to try five or six fun things and sharing it. So I don't really see it being done very often. I think I've seen like one or two other people do it, and they tend to be like either really big groups or really expensive. And so
Right.
I was like, I would love to make this happen and have fully 100% gluten-free group trips, have all of the places be celiac safe. You don't necessarily have to have celiac to attend the trip, but you're going to eat 100% gluten free on the trip, so everybody is safe. And then
Yeah.
you have the international community because it would be open to anybody, obviously. And you also are bonding with other people who get what you're going through. And so I had my first trip planned actually, and I was heartbroken because I actually had to cancel it and refund everybody because the Permesso di Soggiorno process took obviously longer than expected, which
Yep.
nothing in the Italian bureaucracy is easy. So when I first moved here,
Right.
I had to apply for my Permesso within 8 days of moving here. And so I moved here not this most recent April, but the April before. And the appointment they gave me for my fingerprinting at the Questura was the end of October. And so I didn't end up getting my permesso until November. My group trip was planned for September. So in
Yeah.
that pending period, you're not allowed to leave Italy. And my group trip was planned in Spain.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, and so now it's a little bit complicated because for my first 5 years, I have to go through this renewal process every year. So
Yeah.
essentially, from April until November ish every year, I'm confined to Italy, which there's worse things. I'm not that mad
Yeah.
about it. So I'm thinking maybe like relaunching it and having it be in Italy for the first few years or doing like a winter trip outside of Italy.
Yeah.
But then after 5 years, when I'm a permanent resident, I don't have to renew it anymore. It's just basically permanent. So then it's a lot more flexible. So I'm still toying with those ideas, but it is in the future. I just don't know exactly when.
Oh gosh. Um, I have a couple things brewing on my end, so we'll have to talk and
Mhm.
coordinate and do all that. That'll
Yeah,
be a lot. Yeah.
I would love to.
Uh, and a lot of other influencers, I'm sure, that will listen to this podcast that I'm friends with that will want to connect with you as well. So
Yeah,
that's
I
all
think the
very
more we
exciting.
team up to do things like this, the more successful it is for everybody. So I'm all
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. Oh gosh. This has been
Mhm.
such a pleasure. All right. So I always, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to let you go, but I always end every episode with the same set of questions that I would love to ask you if you'd be willing to just give me that quick bit of time. Um, my first question, it's not rapid fire, but
Mhm.
when do you find yourself needing to advocate for yourself the most with having celiac disease?
That's a great question. I would say in medical situations still, but outside of the traditional like gastroenterologist. Like for example, if I'm going to the dentist and they might not register that like, oh, this has to be celiac, or oh, maybe she has this issue with her tooth because of bone density issues because of the celiac, and sort of educating people still in that aspect and advocating for
Mm,
myself outside of the traditional GI doctor where obviously they know.
yeah.
Mhm.
That's yeah, I never that's a new answer and I really like that one. Where, in your opinion, is the city with the best food?
This is easy. And you're going to be shocked because I'm not going to say a city in Italy. But I went to Barcelona this past winter when I was not in my renewal phase. And
Yeah.
I was like, this puts Italy to shame. And I thought Italy was insanely available for gluten free. So I'm already counting the days till I can go back to Barcelona.
That's my answer. And I
Mhm.
in full wow, because so many people say Italy and I'm like Barcelona. And
Puts
I
Italy to
have to
shame.
yes, and you mentioned celiac cruise. Just in full transparency, I work with celiac cruise a lot and often,
Okay.
and I've been on oh my god, so many of their cruises. I think I'm about to go on number 7 and 8. Um,
Amazing.
so one of them is in Spain and Italy, and I went on that one because it was in shipping out of Barcelona, and I was like, I just want to go to Barcelona again.
No, and, like the thing about Barcelona is the different types of food. Like when I was there, I
Yes.
had Chinese food, I had Thai food, I had Spanish food, I had every kind of food you can imagine. Like Italy does gluten-free Italian food great. If you want some tacos, I'm sorry, but you're SOL. Like they're gonna be
Yeah.
marinara sauce and mozzarella cheese. It's not
Yeah.
gonna be, there's gonna be no chili powder in there. There's gonna be no taco seasoning in there.
Oh my gosh, this is
Mhm.
just so kismet. Where
Yeah.
has been your favorite city for exploring?
For exploring, I'm a beach girl at heart. So I wouldn't really call it a city, but Naxos, Greece, the island of Naxos.
Okay.
I love it. if winters on an island in Greece weren't horrific, I could also live there, but only if it was summer year round.
And my last question, where is the city that you learned the most about yourself?
The city that I learned the most about myself, I would say Edinburgh in Scotland, because that was the first sort of like extended time I spent solo traveling.
Mm.
And so it was a lot of new experiences for me, a lot of firsts for me. And also, it's like living in a fairy tale. So, like, what a beautiful setting to have to learn about yourself and do scary things in.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, what a pleasure to meet you. And I'm so glad that I
Likewise.
reached out to you blindly on Instagram to be able to chat with you. Thank you so much for doing this. And from what I've heard about you today, it seems like this never in a million years would you have pictured yourself in a conversation like this. So, what another
Never.
milestone.
Yeah,
So happy to have met you. And I hope this is not the last time that we speak. And what a pleasure.
definitely
Where can
not.
the people find you, by the way? Let's bring people to
Yeah.
your Instagram.
Yeah. So I'm your wellness bestie on Instagram.
And do you have any other social media pages, websites that people can go to and check out, express
Yep.
interest for your future trips that you do and put together?
Definitely. So my handle on all platforms is your wellness bestie. I'm mostly on Instagram. I dabble in a little more like casual content on TikTok unfiltered. I have a website, yourwellnessbestie.com, and then the page is sort of paused right now, but you can follow it for when it resumes for trips in the future, and it's literally just celiac group trips.
Okay, great. We'll put all that information in the show notes so people can easily find you. I'm very excited.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. What a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me this week for an episode of the Gluten Free Advocate. For more information on what's discussed on the podcast, check out the episode description and/or my Substack, The Gluten Free Advocate. If you have any questions or fun stories to share, feel free to reach out at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. Till next time. This episode is produced by Leigh Francis Productions.